as a consultant, your role is mostly to provide solutions to a problem. Typically, a business might be having a problem. It could be anything like my sales of my widgets are going down. You need to increase that. It could be related to my operational efficiency is coming down. You need to improve that. Sometimes the client might even not know what is the actual problem. The diagnosis might be wrong. You need to identify what is the right problem. Once you identify the problem, you try to find the solution. One day you might be working with a cement industry, the other day your client is, let's say, in pharmaceutical or steel, or might be a service industry altogether. And then you are expected to have a lot of knowledge from different fields. So therefore, whenever you start from, let's say, the bottommost rung of consulting, which generally start as an analyst or a junior analyst or a associate consultant. So at that point, let's say one project comes, as soon as that project is there, you are typically working in a lot of research related to that sector. For example,
Hello and welcome to my channel Talk with Taiba. Today I have an incredible and dynamic personality with me. He is a pass out of IIM Lucknow. He has worked with PwC as a consultant and currently he's working at Ernst & Young as a sustainability professional. Please help me welcome a sustainability professional and my dear brother Syed Gulzar. Over to you, brother.
thank you so much for that warm introduction. So I would just give a brief introduction to your audience. I passed out from IIM Lucknow in 2018. Post that, I started working as a consultant at PwC, where I was working on various projects related to sustainability, particularly in circularity space, plastic circularity. And then I moved on to Ernst & Young as a senior consultant, where I am working more towards carbon neutrality of firms, developing roadmaps and GHG accounting. So these are the few areas that I'm working towards. But today, my role here is to help you understand what exactly consulting is, what we do here, how you can go forward towards establishing your own consultancy. And therefore, I'm really excited to, begin this conversation. And at the onset, I would definitely like to thank Taba also. And she's my wonderful little sister. She is doing some incredible work. I have been watching her YouTube videos. I have subscribed to her channel, and I really find her content really useful, especially the book summaries. So, if you're new to her channel, it might look like an endorsement, but yes, I'm saying please do subscribe to her channel as well. She's doing some really great work.
Thank you so much, brother. It means a lot to me. I'm really excited about consulting because, I have seen you work in some of the top-notch firms and you have studied from IIM and, you have worked with the best of the best consulting companies. And I'm sure you're going to go to even better places after this. So my first question is, as a sustainability professional, what is your day-to-day job? What is your work like every day? How dynamic is it?
Right. So, as I will come to that in two parts. First, I will explain as a consulting professional what is expected, and then particularly as a sustainability consultant. So, in general, as a consultant, your role is mostly to provide solutions to a problem. Typically, a business might be having a problem. It could be anything like my sales of my widgets are going down. You need to increase that. It could be related to my operational efficiencies coming down. You need to improve that. Sometimes the client might even not know what is the actual problem. The diagnosis might be wrong. You need to identify what is the right problem. Once you identify the problem, you try to find the solution. You do a desktop research, which is basically trying to read a bundle of research papers. You try to do a lot of industry research, talk to people in that professional, talk to experts of that profession, and then you come out with a lot of fact finding, and basis of those facts you have various discussions, and then you provide a solution which basically helps solve clients problem. Now I am in sustainability professional, and as many of your audience might be aware that uh, climate change is, in fact, it has been renamed as climate emergency in a lot of places, because the way this planet is heating, the global warming is taking place. In 2015, there was an agreement called Paris Agreement, which basically, it was for getting a concerted effort around by all the governments, so that by the end of this century, we limit our global warming to 1.5 degrees Celsius only. So all the nations have taken their own targets. They have taken their NDCs, which is called nationally determined contributions. Now this goes down to each corporate. Every corporate is trying to take action in reducing their carbon dioxide emissions, and that is where our role comes in. Typically, a corporate would come to a consulting firm, and it could have multiple things. It might have, let's say, a problem in which they are trying to identify what is the most suitable target for them. Let's say today we are sitting in 2020. By 2030, how much of our emissions should we be reducing? So we do analysis, we work with various organizations to identify what should be their right target. Then to achieve those targets, what should be your roadmap? So this is one example of what we do. Other examples could be many of the companies disclose what they are doing in terms of sustainability. And sustainability is a whole lot of things. It includes water, social, environment. There's a whole world out there. So now if we look at a typical day, how it might look like in a consulting business could be. So there can be a lot of variations, and typically you do handle 2 to 3 clients in one time. So what happens, you are put in 2 to 3 different projects. Some of the projects might be at a peak and they require a lot of attention, while some might be in their waning phase, and you might just need to ask your team members to push around few things. So a typical day generally would start somewhere at 9 to 10, where depending on how is the agenda, you might have some meetings with your superiors. You might delegate certain tasks to your juniors. So, and then throughout the day, the key thing is doing a lot of research, and that research, it could be from desktop research, that is basically you Google a lot of stuff. You try to read a lot of credible articles, Harvard Business Review. You do all that. Then speaking to the industry experts. So once you do all those activities, you come with various facts, and those facts, when discussed among team and with your client, they help you in synthesizing a solution. So if I say what you do in consulting, around 20 to 30% time you are doing a lot of information gathering, knowledge gathering. Then 30-40% time you would be doing a lot of analysis, and then it's a lot about sharing your knowledge, communicating with your clients, collaborating. So these are the key things that we look forward in a day.
Wow, amazing. So what I understand is consulting is one part, you gathered your problems, then you analyzed it, and now you form a strategy to reach the solution.
Exactly.
Now my next question is, I saw in your LinkedIn profile that you have worked with various domains, from textile, fashion industry to apparel, and every industry is just totally different from the other. So how difficult is it as a consultant, switching from one industry to another, and how do you guys manage to work your way through various industries so fast?
True, that is true. I mean, one day you might be working with a cement industry, the other day your client is, let's say, in pharmaceutical or steel, or might be a service industry altogether. And then you are expected to have a lot of knowledge from different fields. So therefore, whenever you start from, let's say, the bottommost rung of consulting, which generally start as an analyst or a junior analyst or an associate consultant. So at that point, let's say one project comes. As soon as that project is there, you are typically working in a lot of research related to that sector. For example, when I started, I was in the leather sector. And I used to read a lot about the leather sector. I mean, for few weeks I was completely immersed in leather sector only, to a level that you understand each and every aspect. I mean, so if you want to understand any sector, how you do it is, one, you try to understand what is the value chain, meaning
Yeah.
from where do they source their raw material, what are the
Okay.
value add of services that they do, and then what exactly, to who are their customers, to whom do they sell their products.
Okay.
So if you understand the value chain from end to end, basically you will have a very good understanding of that sector. Second thing is, there is a very good framework called Porter 5 Forces, which most of the MBA guys know, and that is something which really helps you understand any industry as to how competitive that industry is, how attractive that industry is, what is the threat by substitutes. So there are 5 different aspects that you look out for. So these two things actually help you a lot in understanding the industry very well. And yes, it will never be like you understand one industry completely. You, as a consultant, you are expected to know a lot about a lot of industries, but you will not know everything about any industry. And I mean, if you, let's say,
constantly upgrade yourself, immerse yourself.
Exactly. Plus, it is very true in this era where, everything is changing so fast. You are having startups coming up like there's Uber. I mean, if you look at your mobile, you have any kind of service that you can imagine. There is a company for it. There is a technology for it. So everything is changing very fast, and correspondingly, if you want to provide solutions to such businesses, you need to adapt yourself also.
True. That's so beautiful. That value chain. First, you try to understand the value chain from where this the source chain is and how it is going to the customer. When you understand the process end to end, it gives you a lot of understanding. And plus, constantly upgrading yourself. And this Porter 5 Forces, I didn't get a lot about it, but I'll research it more. If you would like to add a little about it in short, that would be great.
Yes, Porter 5 Forces is a very famous framework among the MBA people. Whosoever is into corporates, they typically use this particularly in the strategy domain. So what it says is, whatever is the attractiveness of a particular industry, this is for industry analysis. Let's say if I want to look at automobile, so there are 5 forces that we look at. So that include the threat of substitutes, how easily can something be substituted. For example, if I consider four-wheeler or four-wheeler industry, passenger car industry. So in that, if you see, four-wheeler there are some substitutes available. For example, public transport is a substitute in which you are using a metro. But then if you see, especially in this corona times, people prefer their own vehicles. And so you see, so you see, it's not very easy to substitute a four-wheeler. And that's why from a substitute threat, there is a low threat in this particular industry. Similarly, there are other forces. For example, what is the bargaining power of your suppliers? So suppliers being in case of this car example, suppliers being whosoever are supplying you small parts, including, let's say, the seats of your car, the dashboard, each and every part. So what is their bargaining power? How fragmented are those? If, let's say, they are small suppliers who are spread out, so they will have low bargaining power. Whereas, let's say, if I take example of Boeing or any airplane manufacturing, in that case, I think the supplier of engine has a lot of bargaining power, because there are very few aircraft engine manufacturers. Probably GE is one of them. So they will obviously have very high bargaining power.
So basically, in this Porter 5 Forces, you try to do an industrial analysis of the whole industry. How competitive, how attractive this new industry is, to get a detailed idea. Okay, then my next question is, what do you think are the 3 top skills that a person requires to be a consultant? That these firms.
So, a lot of this thing involves having good frameworks. And for your answer also, I have a framework in my mind. I would say there are 2 things that are required.
Yeah.
One is your knowledge, the
Yeah.
second is your network. These
Yeah.
two things. Now, knowledge is, I mean, you need to have knowledge of a lot of things, as in the domain knowledge that
Yeah.
I was just speaking
Yeah. Yeah.
about, the
Yeah.
industry
Yeah.
knowledge. So,
Yeah.
all that is your domain knowledge.
Yeah.
Whatever I know about sustainability, that is domain knowledge. But
Yeah.
apart from that, knowledge of soft skills,
Yeah.
that is very important. How
Yeah.
do you handle your clients? How do
Yeah.
you handle your own team? How do
Yeah.
you handle your superiors? So those soft skills are very important. Your
Yeah.
presentation skills. So
Yeah.
knowledge of all those skills is very important. So at the
Okay.
one end of your spectrum, you have knowledge.
Yeah.
Whereas at the other end of the spectrum, I would say, if you are especially going to create your own consultancy, network is important. Now, network means network of your clients who will
Yeah.
basically bring you business.
Yeah.
You will be solving problems for them.
Yeah.
Secondly, network of the people with whom you will be working. You need to have experts, you need to have go-to experts. So for example, if I am into sustainability,
Yeah.
I understand I am expected to have a lot of knowledge about sustainability.
Yeah.
So probably as a marketing consultant, I'm not the right guy. So in
Yeah.
that case, I need to have a good network of people who are into marketing also. So in
Okay.
case a client comes up with a problem,
Yeah.
I know what aspect I need to deal with, and for the aspects that I do not have expertise, I need to have a
Somebody who
network
is
of
good at
people,
it.
yes, who is good at it, and I can direct him to that, or there might be some other arrangement. So these two are the things that basically for me summarize entire consulting: knowledge and network. And knowledge, now as you go down into
Yeah.
all these knowledge and network, it will
Yeah.
keep on dividing.
Yeah.
As I told, knowledge has domain knowledge, it has
Yeah.
soft skill related knowledge,
Knowledge.
it has your digital skill related knowledge. Similarly,
Yeah.
network of clients, network of your own peers, networks of
Yes.
some
Experts.
experts.
Yeah.
So all that is required. So these two, I would say, is the most important thing. Then there will be auxiliary thing, like you need to have your legal team, you need to have
Yeah.
someone who can set up all these things, someone from the IT team who can take care of all the data,
IT
the data
operations.
regulations.
Yeah.
So all the auxiliary things are there, but what comes to the top of my mind are these two things: knowledge and network.
Great, amazing answer. Knowledge and network. In my understanding, also, I think these are two very important factors if you want to go into a consulting role.
Right.
I was talking to somebody the other day, and he was also from PwC, and he told me one thing that Taiba, in these big companies like PwC and Ernst and Young, they have very good knowledge bases and they have very good knowledge management systems. For instance, if you want to do a new project, there are existing repositories of knowledge and things that you can go to, and the work, it's not that difficult. So, tell me, what are some best consulting practices that you have gone through in so many years that you have worked as a consultant and that you would like to share?
So, without naming any particular organization, I would
Yeah.
just want to share one of the very good practice that I think I would say that EY definitely has some of the best learning practices. So, if you see, there is a Udemy
Yeah.
course. I
Yeah.
mean, if you go to any Udemy course which is aligned to your professional skills,
Yeah.
in fact, not just professional skill, if you want to learn guitar, you
As a
want to have
hobby.
some hobby,
Yeah.
your well-being, everything is free at EY in terms of Udemy, and there are many other courses as well.
Yeah.
So in terms of learning and development, EY particularly has a great focus on learning, and that is one of the good practice that I want to highlight. I mean, once you equip your employee with the right kind of knowledge set, they at the client end, when they're dealing with the client, they
Yeah.
come up with the right kind of solutions. They can, I mean, their client will have some confidence on
Yeah.
them. So, and these trainings and learnings are not just confined to,
Yeah.
let's say, domain knowledge. There are a lot of other trainings related to soft skills as well. How do you negotiate? How do you handle your client? How do you present something? All those soft skills are also there. So in terms of learning, that is one good practice. In fact, EY recently launched EY Tech MBA. So anyone
Okay.
who is working at EY has an opportunity to basically do 3 pillars, as in technology, business leadership, and I think there's one more pillar to this. So if they do certain amount of credits, then they do get an MBA also, which is
Wow.
recognized by Hart University. So
Okay.
learning and development is one key thing, good practice that any consulting uh, uh, should focus on. Second thing is having a good repository of
Yeah.
all the projects, proposals, tools, all these things. So what happens is, let's say today, if a client comes to me,
Yeah.
he says that we have this problem. We are basically want we want to install so and so renewable energy, and because
Yeah.
of that we are facing so and so XYZ challenge.
Yeah.
Now there are two ways to go about it. One, I could assemble a team of my own, and we will start working on that. We'll
Yeah.
start to run through all the knowledge papers and then come up with a proposal with a solution. Or the other way is that you have an internal repository of
Yeah.
other clients who had similar problems
Yeah.
and what you did there.
Wow.
Now, if you have that kind of robust repository
Yeah.
with you,
Yeah.
you will directly pull few slides or few solutions from them.
Yeah.
You will customize it according to your client, and you will then share it with your client, and that will give you the competitive advantage. While the other firm is busy in creating their own new
Solutions
knowledge,
from the scratch.
reinventing the wheel.
Yeah.
Yes, they're trying to reinvent the wheel.
Yeah.
If they are busy doing that, whereas you are already using whatever was done earlier,
Yeah.
then you have a competitive edge. So that is
Advantage.
one thing. And in fact, all the big fours have their own repositories
Yeah.
of all these projects, proposals. But yes, there's still a lot of
New
chance
problems
of
and challenges
improvement there
coming.
as well.
Yeah.
Right.
It's a
True.
very
True.
dynamic
I mean,
world.
what happens is right. Plus more than that, what happens is it gets so hectic sometimes that if I have done certain project, maybe I gave some amazing solution, but I do not have the bandwidth to upload it to
Yeah.
a website so that others can also understand and use that solution. So maybe there are few problems, like people not finding enough time, or they are not trained enough to upload all these things. So those can be the challenges. But yes, anyone who wants to establish a good consulting firm, he should focus one on learning and development, and second creating their own knowledge repositories. So that will go a long way.
True, true. That is so true. While others are, as you said, while others are busy reinventing the wheel, you will just be above them and you'll do things. Now, my next question is, how does somebody who's not a consultant, who is not from an IIT or an IIM, and he or she wants to go into a consulting role, how does that one person start his career in consulting? What is that roadmap looks like?
So, I mean, how you can start if you do not have. So, it's not necessary you need to have an IIT or IIM degree only. Of course, it will have a very good competitive advantage, especially in India. But then, other than that, also, if you have, let's say, done your MBA from a decent place, or you have done your even BTech from a decent place, so for starters, one, I would say they should focus on a good network. They should try to establish good network from their own college peers, whosoever has went to some other place, because most of these uh, job openings come to
Yeah.
the market from from references. You
Yeah.
come to know from your friends. So you need to
Yeah.
have a strong network to understand what is going in the market, and where you can begin, where are certain leads being generated.
Yeah.
So for that, I mean, you need to have a very close grip, very close network, and you need to understand what all they are doing. LinkedIn is a very good source. You start following people who are into that particular
Yeah.
consulting business. Let's say
Yeah.
if you want to go into tax, then
Yeah.
start following people on tax. You start reading. I think the Hindu has various editorials
Yeah.
written by various PwC, EY, KPMG,
Yeah.
Deloitte, and Accenture. All these people.
Yeah.
So start following those people, and whenever you get a chance, try to have some contact point with them, so that you can put
Yeah.
a foot in the door, and
Yeah.
that is how you can start. But I if it is possible, I would always recommend that try to go to as good college as possible, and try to uh, get those skills that are actually relevant with that consulting business, or
Consulting.
whatever subject line you
Yeah.
want to go forward. So that I would say that is very necessary. Like it will ease your life by 80 to 90%.
Yeah.
But other than that, I mean, if anyone was not able to get that degree, it doesn't mean that the world has stopped for that person.
Yeah,
They
yeah.
can go about establishing their own consulting. But before anyone establishes their own consulting, it is very important to have a good network of those people,
Yeah.
which include the client as well as your peers who will work with you, and you have good understanding of that particular business. So start reading a lot about those. Start, I would
Yeah.
say, you can start writing about. Once you start, so essentially what does a consultant do? He would take facts from various let's say news articles, from various research papers, from industry papers. That is
Yeah.
something any person can do if you understand basic language, even if
Yeah,
it's
yeah.
Hindi.
Yeah.
You understand that you can gather a lot of knowledge. But
Yeah.
let's say in India, most of the corporates work on English, so definitely English would be preferred. So
Yeah.
one thing is you start acquiring those knowledge. Once you have that knowledge, you try to, you know, get to these places. Like you start approaching certain boutique consulting firm, if not the big four. So
Okay.
big fours are not the only companies. There are a lot of boutique
Other
firms
companies.
also.
Yeah.
So you can, yes, you can start from there also. Try to find which are all these companies. Uh, In-mail the employees there, in-mail the partner there, in-mail the managers, senior managers over there. And then you will get some kind of response. If you get a chance to interview and you have done your necessary research, you have the necessary knowledge, then you will be definitely be able to impress them. And then that is the time you start working in boutique firm. And once you are in a boutique firm, after let's say 3 to 5 years of experience, there is a good chance that you can then switch to, let's say, big four, and beyond that, even the big three is called the McKinsey, Bain, BCG, all these companies, and then you have Accenture also. So I mean, all these places are then open to you. But first is obviously you need to have knowledge and experience of that particular field, and for that maybe you need to start with a boutique consulting firm.
Yeah. Now my next question is, if somebody is, somebody is an expert at something. Let's suppose somebody, I'm talking about somebody who's just a layman. Let's suppose somebody is very good at communication and public speaking. Let's take an example, and he's planning to start a consultancy for that one area. Like on a small level, from that place. He's just a normal person. He started speaking, started training people. He got good responses, and he got some confidence that I can also do that. So for those people who are just budding in entrepreneurs, budding from the grassroots, what are the best practices you think are going to help them establish a very strong consultancy business?
Right. I mean, first thing is that that person should have clearly identified what is the problem that they are trying to solve. If it's related to, let's say, public speaking, then probably they want to solve for people. And I'm giving a very layman example. Maybe stage fright. They want to help people in overcoming that. And that is their problem solving area. They need to identify some 3 to 5 key problems which they want to solve, and then they need to have how exactly are they going to solve those problems. They need to have, let's say, a proposal or brochure of their own as to how they are going to solve those problems. Then the next step is try to generate leads, as in, now I'm no expert in that, but probably digital marketing might help you. Might need some Google marketing certifications. All those things can be done to identify from where can you get the right kind of customer leads. Right. Once you start getting those leads, whatever brochures you started preparing, you can basically circulate to them, help organize like one-on-one meetings with them, and you can basically start. I would say, don't be afraid to start small then. I mean, if let's say you're getting, even at the start, let's say you're getting some pro bono clients, but just take those, because that happens even in the larger consultancies as well. Let's say if there is a new area, for example, these days science-based targets are coming up.
Yeah.
In fact, it has got old by 1 or 2 years now. But at the start, uh, any consulting would jump on the opportunity to get some work in that field,
Yeah.
even if they were making certain loss on that.
Yeah.
Why? Because once they have that experience,
Yeah.
then they will sell the same experience to the other clients, and then they can then quote a better fee. And so, how you can visualize is that at the start, consider that as an investing phase.
Yeah.
So if you are even doing some small projects, you can lower your fee. You decide what is the fee, you give them a discount. In fact, do a few projects pro bono as well,
Free.
if
Yeah.
possible.
Yeah.
Yes. Once you have a portfolio of solutions, you have some testimonials from your clients that this is the kind of service we provided, then probably you can start focusing on a more structured way.
Yeah.
Let's say you initially you focused on individual clients.
Yeah. Yeah.
You got those leads from, let's say, your friends, your some professional colleagues.
Yeah.
So after that, once you have that portfolio that you have helped 50 people in doing so and so, then start focusing on, let's say, some in an institutional way. Maybe you
Yeah.
start focusing on a corporate, approach them, you tell them, okay, this is the solution to your own people. We can help in you try to package your own solution in different way. So maybe fear of public speaking is not just related to public speaking, it is something more than that. Maybe it is
Yeah.
related to how you view yourself, how confidently you view yourself.
Yeah.
And then that solution you can market to any company. You can tell them that we will help your people in building their inner confidence. We are going
Yeah.
to do 2 workshops, and that is our solution. So if then
yeah.
you
Yeah.
so
It's all about
that
initially
can
you
be
have to
one
get
possible way.
started, you have to identify problems, get some leads, get some good testimonials. Once you've built a portfolio, you can, go on. But my next question is, like a lot of people are good in tech. I have a few friends, they're very good with tech. Tell them an app and they will design it. Tell them a website, they will get it done. Tell them a e-commerce store that you need to design from them, they will do that. But those people, they just don't know how to get those clients. So finding
Right.
those clients, is it just like this only? You find first 2 clients, then 10, and then 20, or is it like a bigger
Right.
game
I
that
mean,
these companies play?
so for if I say specifically for Big Four, they might not be facing such challenges because they have been
Of the
in the
name.
business for more than 100 years, and
Yeah.
just their brand name becomes enough for any client to have confidence on them.
Okay.
And probably they might not be facing those problems. But anyone who is starting new in this business, in fact, this is my personal opinion that if you want to start a consultancy, then don't just start it directly. Let's
Yeah.
say work for some firms, work for them for 4 years, 5 years, try to understand what are the best
Dynamics.
practices, how do they do work, what are the dynamics, how does this business change. Try to absorb as much as possible. So when you're working for those 5 years,
Yeah.
the knowledge is not the only part that is being developed. You're
Yeah.
also developing a network. You
Yeah.
then understand, okay, these are the markets or these are the clients who I have worked for or who my colleagues have worked for. And probably when tomorrow I start my own business, I will approach these particular clients. And then you can basically, have a mapping of the kind of clients that you look forward for. Let's say
Yeah.
if you work for some corporate clients who were into pharmaceuticals, now you have an understanding of pharmaceuticals. You find out other pharmaceutical companies and try
Yeah.
to give them the same solutions. Once you have that experience under your belt, then
Yeah.
you can go to the market. You can say that it's not that I haven't worked in this field, I'm already an expert in this. I'm giving a solution. Maybe you can get the same solution from other companies as well, but probably their solutions might not be as custom built as I will be able to.
Yeah.
And my services cost or the cost of my offering is, you can definitely compare with anyone. You will have to identify what is your own advantage of your particular service. So for any budding entrepreneur who wants to establish his own consultancy, I would advise that spend some 4 or 5 years
Yeah.
in some maybe boutique consulting firm or some established consulting firms, and see everything, how does
Absorb things.
things work.
Yeah.
Right, because sometimes even for us it becomes challenging. Let's say we are going to a client, we are giving them some solution which we believe that this should work, but probably that that client does not have a budget for it. That client does not find our pitch convincing enough.
Yeah.
There can be n number of problems associated with it. So even with a good brand name, those problems are there. So let's say if you do not have any portfolio existing with you right now,
Yeah.
then you might not be able to win the confidence of your client. So
Yeah.
my advice would be, first 4 to 5 years, work with a good
Yeah.
consulting firm, gain everything, learn everything.
Yeah. So consulting now I understand is a very challenging role that constantly requires to upgrade yourself. You have to be very, very updated. You have to face new challenges. You have to be very innovative, and you have to be a people's person because you're constantly collaborating with people. You have to be with team members, with clients. So how do you manage to stay on the top of your game? And what is your way to make balance? How do you just keep
Right.
up with things?
Right. So that is a very good question, I would say, because consulting business, it looks very glamorous too.
Yeah.
But then there are a lot of long hours associated with it. I mean, I have many colleagues of mine who have come from non-consulting background to consulting, and they say that, I mean, this is a different game altogether.
Yeah.
Like, you don't know when your day starts and when does your day end.
Yeah.
So in that situation, it becomes very important that you are in some way able to set some kinds of boundaries. Okay, this is my key hours. Let's say for me, it's generally around 9:30 to 10. I would start my day, and around 8 p.m. I would finish my day of work. But
Yeah.
then, of course, in some rare cases, and those rare cases are not that rare. I mean, every week you have 2 to 3 of those kinds. You will definitely stretch much beyond that as well.
Yeah.
Now, in that case, you will have to find what works best for you. In that case, what I have found for me is I need to have good 8 to 9 hours of sleep. I need to have good connection with my family. I need to have good communication and family talks with my wife, with my parents, with my sister. Those things are very important for me. That is like a priority. That basically balances me again.
Rejuvenates you
And then
inside
yes,
out.
I love walking and exercising. Rejuvenates me, exactly. So these three things I try to do as much as possible, and I do. I mean, these days I have recently started following Rujuta Divekar, who's a dietitian in India, and
Okay.
her advice has really helped me a lot. I mean,
Okay.
to maintain constant energy levels. So I
Wow.
guess focus on your sleep quality, focus on what you are eating, and
Yeah.
focus on a bit on your social circle. So these
Yeah.
three things, probably, if you are able to do, then you might be able to manage the stress and
Yeah.
everything.
Because
But of course, it will vary depending
Yeah.
on.
Yeah. I feel that,
Yeah.
consulting, it's not like a sprint, it's like a marathon. You have to be constantly, at the peak of your energy level. So that is why I think the 4 pillars that you mentioned is your mental health, your physical health, your emotional health, and your social life. Everything has to be balanced. Only then you can put in your best foot forward. Otherwise, it's not possible to live in such a challenging environment and give your best. So what are your last, some key takeaways, or what is your last message to the audience? What would you say to them?
Right. I think just to make it very easy for your audience, might be some of them might have found a lot of the content very boring. But
No.
for all those, I would just want to summarize that I say, if you are going to establish your own consulting business for 4 to 5 years, focus on working with some boutique consulting firm or any very well established consulting firm. Try to get into those. Maybe you will have to start as an intern and you get a job maybe after 2-3 months, but you do that.
Yeah.
Because that will help in the 2 pillars that I mentioned, knowledge and network.
Yeah.
Right. So knowledge, you need to have knowledge of your domain, you need to have knowledge of soft skills, you need to have good in today's world related to digital tools, digital marketing, all those things you need to have. The second aspect is network. Obviously, when you're working for 4 5 years, that will also be created. Network of your own friends, your colleagues, network of your clients.
Yeah.
You view yourself as a personal uh, advisor for a client. I
Yeah.
mean, don't think of a client like someone you need to make money out of. You
Yeah.
need to think as uh, you are responsible
Ally.
for solving their problem. Yes, you are
Yeah.
their ally. So
Yeah.
go with that mindset, gain some 4 to 5 years of experience. And I think if you start doing that, then you will, I mean, have a very good understanding how to sail forward. So I would say those are my two key takeaways for this session.
Thank you so much. I learned so much personally from this session. I used to think consulting as some glamorous world out there where you don't have to put in so much of work and it's life is all chilled out. You just give advice to people, and a lot of people think like that. It's just not me who is
True.
guilty of this. Myths and misconceptions out there. Thank you for demystifying all the myths and for telling us exactly what is it required to be best of the best in the world of consultancy. Thank you so much for your valuable time. I am incredibly delighted and deeply thankful for this episode. I'm sure a lot of people will gain some incredible insights from this. Thank you for being here today with us. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much, Taba, for inviting me to your show. And I hope my inputs are useful for anyone who uses your book and who might be watching this video. So, thank you for giving this opportunity to me.
My pleasure.
And I wish you all the very best. All the very best.
Thank you. Thank you so much.